Here will be Adam Schefter. Who brings us Adam Schefter, Jamie Lynch?
He's brought to you by DraftKings. DraftKings is giving away up to $100 million in prizes to all of their customers. Download the DraftKings app and sign up using code Fanatic. Then enter a free football survivor pool. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
And joining us right now on the Comcast Business Hotline, Beyond Fast, Adam Schefter. What's up, Shefty?
Good morning, Mark, Bob, Philadelphia. Happy Jamie Day to all.
Wow. Oh, that's phenomenal. And a happy Jamie Day to you, too, sir.
I did not prep him for that.
Oh, Jamie, of all people.
Shefty just knows. He doesn't need prep from anyone.
They're talking about it in Bristol right now that it's Jamie Day. Did you realize that? Shefty.
Where's Bristol? I haven't been there since the first week.
Oh, yeah, right.
You know what? Good point. Shefty joining us right now. Look, crazy week, but even more importantly, and I hate to admit it, more important than Jamie Day itself, is the opening week of the NFL season is this week. It all kicks off tomorrow night. And, of course, the Eagles on Sunday. Shefty, we're here, man. It's happening. You got to be excited for it.
Hey, I got to say this, that back in March, April, I don't know that a lot of people had a lot of hope that this day would come on time. I think that if you looked at it and the way that this country was going, you would have said no. Chiefs, Texans on Thursday, September 10th, not happening. And to the credit of the NFL and the NFLPA and everybody involved, the game is going to come off and the season is going to happen. Now, are they going to play 16 games? I don't know for sure, but I'll say this. I feel like they're going to plow through. And there was a time not long ago where baseball was on the brink and baseball soldiered on. And I think football is absolutely going to do that with 16-man practice squads. And they're determined to play the season and play the sport, barring unforeseen tragic circumstances that we hope don't ever occur. But, again, football's here, Texans, Chiefs, full slate Sunday. And I'll just say this, selfishly speaking, it's an adjustment for everybody, but I've been in a TV studio for 20 years now, 16 years. And on Sunday, the games come, and I do the pregame show and then watch the games wherever I am at or traveling to this Monday Night Football. This year, I am doing Sunday Countdown from my house. And then I just ordered a Roku stick to figure out how to stream games in my house. Like, I honestly, I don't even know how to handle that. Like, it's just it's so different. Like, I know that that's what everybody does, but it's just something I just haven't done.
Is that one of the situations where your daughter will be setting it up for you, or will you be doing that?
I have somebody that's going to walk me through it, and hopefully I could figure it out. I'm very technologically challenged, and if I can't do it, then I'll have to get somebody over to help me out even further. Which probably will happen, which probably will end up happening.
Yeah. I would probably be doing the same thing. Speaking with Adam Schefter, when we talked last week, we were still waiting to resolve the whole Jason Peters issue. That has been resolved now. According to Doug Peterson, he just knocked on the door and said, "Hey, Coach, you can slide me over now. No problem. No harm, no foul." Apparently, there was really no money discussed in terms of him getting more money to move over like was originally reported. We had talked about it last week as a weird scenario. Now that it's over, how do you think this really did play out?
Well, let me say this. I don't know exactly how it played out. I don't have the answer to that. I would say that where there's smoke, there's usually fire. Doesn't mean it was. I don't know whether that was maybe just his agent trying to be an agent and get more money, or whether that was him, or whether it didn't happen at all. I don't know. But, again, and I don't think that should matter and does matter to Eagles fans. All that matters is he's playing left tackle, and he'll be good there. He's been a great player for a long time. So I think the position will be fine. It'll hold up. When, like I said, when you lose the two guys like that, it's just a lot to. Brandon Brooks might have been the best guard in football, the best. And I don't know that he always got his due, but he was fantastic. And so you really miss him, and now obviously Andre Dillard as well. So it's a double whammy.
So, Shefty, you haven't heard anything to the effect of Jason Peters moving over on a handshake, wink, hey, we'll take care of you later, you take care of us now. Anything like that in good faith?
Again, I haven't paid that much attention to it to know. To be honest with you,
Gotcha.
I don't know what they've done with him. I'd like to think that Jason Peters is, been a pro for a long time. He knows what goes into this, and that he recognizes that he signed with the team, that he's a part of that team, and players usually do what they're asked to do. So that's my 2 cents there.
Shefty, we all seem to agree with each other here in Philly that the race in the NFC East is going to be the Eagles and the Cowboys. I'm a little bit more, I don't want to say scared, but I'll say that. I'm a little bit more scared of the Cowboys than most are. People think that the Eagles will win this division. I don't know where to lean. Where do you see that race coming down to?
Let me say this, that I think that the Dallas Cowboys are stacked and loaded, and I have a feeling that they're going to be better than people think. I think they're a good Cowboys team. I will say this. This will not be very, very popular, but this is what I did. For the Super Bowl, I always seem to pick the Chiefs, the Saints. I pick the same 2-3 teams every year for the Super Bowl. And so ESPN.com asked me just on Friday. It was kind of interesting for my Super Bowl pick. And I usually come up with my Super Bowl pick. It's like June or July. I honestly never even thought about it. I'm like, okay, let me come up with something a little different here. So I picked Baltimore and Dallas.
Wow.
And I picked Baltimore and Dallas not because I believe it could be Baltimore, Dallas, but I think we're going to have the most unpredictable NFL season we've ever had. And everyone is unpredictable, every one of them. But there are more uncertainties with this one than there are any other one we've ever had. Like, no offseason, no preseason games, none of that. In a pandemic, teams and organizations trying to stave off COVID. Like, there are just so many different factors that make this so unusual. And if you think back to any season, opening day, always you put on the games, you're like, whoa, like some player bursts on the scene, some player doesn't play well, some team plays better than people thought, some team struggles. It happens every year. And I think that we're back in that situation times 10 is what I'm expecting. So if I said to you today, and I'm making this up, I picked a Chargers-Lions Super Bowl. That, as crazy as it sounds, it shouldn't be that much of a surprise.
I'm now going to pay even more attention to who you're picking for the Super Bowl over the next couple of years here, just to see if we stay on point here. Adam Schefter joining us, ESPN, obviously. Shefty, another signing just happened, and it's probably the most COVID signing we could see in Philly.
Yeah.
Josh McCown getting signed for essentially $12,000 a week to be the emergency quarterback while staying in Texas. What'd you make of the McCown signing?
I thought it was incredibly intelligent. I thought it was wise. I thought it was really fun. I mean, Josh McCown doesn't even have to go in. Josh McCown's going to make $12,000 a week. Josh McCown's going to be the emergency. If you'll notice, the Jaguars signed Mike Glennon to their practice squad. Then they signed him to their active roster, but for unanticipated emergencies, that's what it's going to be. And so the Eagles have gone next level, popular and well respected there. And so, why not? Like, if all of a sudden, on Wednesday you lose the
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's a $204,000. That's what it is.
The Eagles also, drafted Jalen Hurts with the 53rd overall pick, and they have Nate Sudfeld. From everything you've heard right now, Nate Sudfeld, the backup quarterback when things start out.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. They have high hopes for Jalen Hurts, and I think he's going to be a good quarterback. But again, if Carson all of a sudden couldn't play this Sunday, my guess would be that they would turn to Nate Sudfeld. Yes. And
Yeah.
by the way, if Jalen Hurts were the backup, then there really would be no need to carry Nate Sudfeld right now, a third quarterback.
Shefty, if you, I know how weird this all is, so I need you to give us some sense of normalcy. What are just the big stories of the NFL going into the season in your mind? What are things that we should keep an eye on heading into this season to try to make it normal for all of us?
Well, I think there's a few things. I mean, obviously, there's the overriding COVID theme to the whole season.
Yeah.
I don't know that people want to pay attention to that. They want to just escape and be left alone and not have to think about it, right? So, again, I guess I would come back to, as always, you come back to Tom Brady down in Tampa. Like, here we go. Now we get to see him on Sunday against the Saints. And it's not often that the greatest quarterback of all time changes teams like that, which is going on here. And we'll see how that plays out. But that should be really interesting to watch, see how that transpires. We have, obviously, a lot of little changes, expanded practice squads, protocols, testing, players not being in the building on Mondays, a lot of little things like that. I don't know. Again, what I'm a little concerned by is we've already seen so far yesterday Von Miller had a season end in practice, the very last play of practice.
Yeah.
Basically damages, injures a tendon in his ankle. He's going to have surgery. Derwin James was on Hard Knocks last night, suffers a season-ending knee injury in practice. Didn't even look like anything. Looked like he was grabbing his hamstring, which is what I was told when I initially checked into it, that he hurt his hamstring. Tyrell Williams, the Raiders wide receiver, out for the year. Grant Delpit, the Brown safety, out for the year. Again, these teams and guys have not played a game yet. And we've seen some players out for the year. And so I think early on in the season, I think you're going to see a rash of injuries. I mean, these guys have not gone all out since, December, January?
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden you're going to be going all out on Sunday. And there are always injuries the first couple of weeks. Bill Polian, and I'm sure he's not the only one, but Bill Polian, I remember him mentioning one time that his team used to chart the highest frequency of injuries. And the highest frequency of injuries was always the first 2-3 weeks of the season. And then it was like weeks 15 and 16 before 17. So there are certain weeks that are more ripe than others for injuries. And I would say that this season would be more ripe than others. If you go back to 2011, the year of the lockout, when they did a new CBA and there was no off-season program, there were a higher number by a wide margin of torn Achilles than any other year. And so we'll see what happens here on Sunday, or Thursday, when it starts Thursday, Sunday, Monday. But you worry about that kind of thing, and that is going to impact and influence the season too.
Speaking with Adam Schefter, to talk to the salary cap that the Eagles have facing them for next year, their cap number is just atrocious. Looking at it next year, $51 million is what they're scheduled to be over the cap. They're $21 million under the cap right now. Can you give us a little insight into how that's all going to work? Because Eagles fans are although they might be excited for this year, they're also looking at next year and what decisions this year can affect next year's number. Zach Ertz contract, for instance, if anything gets worked out there, whatever could happen there. Is there anything the Eagles can do to help alleviate that cap number other than just spend less going into next season?
Well, I would say this. They are one of the sharpest, most progressive, smartest, well-run financial organizations out there. So this is not just accidental that they have slipped into this position, that $20 million under, $51 million, whatever it is. It's not like I don't believe they're sitting there unsettled and sweating by the fact that they've got to trim payroll for next year and squeeze to get it done. This, I believe, firmly was done with a plan and some things in mind. And I guaranteed I could sit down and look at it and say, okay, well, we take this contract, and boom, now we're back to even, just right there. And then you rework some contracts, Carson Wentz's contract, you restructure, push forward some money. I know it sounds like a daunting number today.
Right.
I guarantee it's not.
Okay.
I guarantee it's not.
That sounds good to me. I mentioned Zach Ertz. Have you heard any movement in that regard whatsoever? Okay.
Nope.
All right.
Didn't I tell you a few weeks ago that I didn't think that it would get done?
Yes, you did. I just figured I'd follow up. That's all.
Yeah.
Now, for a second, if I could talk to NBA Adam Schefter. The Sixers don't have a head coach right now. The name that keeps on being linked to the Sixers is Tyronn Lue. However, another name just popped up last night, Billy Donovan. What do you make of Billy Donovan? Does NBA Adam, does he like Billy Donovan as a head coach?
I'm a Billy Donovan fan. Like him personally. like him as a coach. Would think he'd be an excellent choice for them if that's the route they wanted to go. I mean, they could do a lot worse than Billy Donovan as their coach. I got no problem supporting that one. Tyronn Lue, good choice too. They need the right guy to lead this team forward. That's a big hire for this team. And I'd have to look at the other candidates out there. But those two guys, no issues with either one. I've never met Tyronn Lue. Billy Donovan I've done a couple of games with, and truly enjoyed my time with the guy. Liked him very much.
All right. I'll take that as an endorsement. I'll take it as an endorsement.
Yeah, Mark's heavy on Billy Donovan. He hates Tyronn Lue.
I am not a Tyronn Lue fan.
Huh?
I mean, hate's a strong word, but it applies here. No, I don't hate Tyronn Lue. I'm just saying I don't think because the thing that got brought up throughout this Sixers season and the thing that got brought up again and again at the end of the season was accountability. And I look at Tyronn Lue as a guy that was basically plucked out by LeBron James, had a lot of success because of LeBron James and that squad that he had. And basically the second LeBron James was out, he was out. And I think it was all tied to Tyronn. I think Tyronn Lue's success in Cleveland was 100% tied to the workings of LeBron James. And when it comes to this particular Sixers team, I think you have to have somebody that's going to come in here and absolutely take charge. I don't see Tyronn Lue being that type of guy to get the best out of Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid.
Well, again, I don't know him well enough to make any kind of judgment. I just don't know him. Like I said, I spent some time with Billy Donovan and admire his work. Think he'd be excellent, and I guess we'll see what they do.
All right. Schefter, always great catching up with you. And don't worry, next week, see, here's what's going to happen. The Zach Ertz contract is going to become like the Eagles wide receiver coach conversation we had a year ago.
Well, we'll see how that works out. But I got one other guy for the. I got one other guy for the six. I'm going to throw out a name, right? Just again in my NBA travels, a guy that I've gotten to know, and it'll be mocked and because he's not in that discussion. But one day he's going to be head coach, and when he does, you'll say I told you so. Caleb Canales, a former assistant with the New York Knicks. So that he was the interim head coach in Portland about 7-8 years ago. Young guy,
yeah,
very, very impressive guy.
Okay, all right, we will.
All right. Maybe that's the name we're looking for. I said there might be an outsider. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll just say this: worthy of consideration, if nothing else. Worthy of talking to. He's got my endorsement as a man, and great people are hard to come by. And so, again, the problem is that he's coming from an organization that has just failed. And so I know how that works in the NFL, that when you come from an organization like that, you don't get looks because it's not a sexy sell. And so, you can't hire a guy like that right now and say, oh, we just hired the former assistant coach of the New York. It's not going to work like that.
Mm-hmm.
But once he gets back in the league with a winning team, which he will, you'll say that'll be my head coach in 3, 4, 5 years.
All right. Well, we will keep a lookout for it. Shefty, great catching up with you as always, man. We'll talk to you again next week.
Appreciate that. Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Shefty. Enjoy your Jamie Day.
Happy Jamie Day, guys.
All right, buddy.
That was Egan. Was that you?
Mark Farzetta with Bob Cooney and Jamie Lynch. Mornings on 97.5 The Fanatic. Philadelphia.